Before we start, please note that the following is for educational and entertainment purposes only. According to Inner City Press, the courtroom fell silent as 50 Cent, known for his sharp tongue and no-nonsense demeanor, took this stand in what would turn out to be the most unexpected testimony of the Diddy trial. For years, 50 Cent had been making bold accusations and cryptic jokes about Diddy online. But no one had imagined that he would actually appear in court and say it all under oath. Now, as federal prosecutors delved deeper into a number of trafficking and misconduct charges, 50 has revealed the judge cautioned the gallery to maintain composure. But you could sense the tension shift as 50 Cent and Diddy's feud began in whispers, interviews, and viral Instagram posts. For years, 50 Cent has been the only rapper brave enough to publicly call out Diddy's behavior, often with humor, but with deeper implications. In 2014, 50 Cent posted a meme suggesting that Diddy and Rick Ross had a secret lifestyle that no one was supposed to discuss. In 2018, 50 made an appearance on The Breakfast Club and mentioned a time when Diddy had asked him to go shopping with him, saying, "I'll pay for it." 50 raised his eyebrows and said, "Yo, this just feels funny to me. What grown man invites another man to shop with him and says he'll pay for it?" The room laughed, but it was obvious that 50 was trying to tell people something about Diddy's private life. Although it made headlines for days, most people dismissed it as trolling. But the insults continued. 50 Cent stopped trolling in 2022, when the lawsuit floodgates opened against Diddy and several accusers came forward. He wrote on Instagram, "Told you," reposting the Cassie lawsuit headline. Fans began to take him more seriously, not as a troll, but as someone who had been trying to warn the public. Now that he is under oath, 50 Cent is done playing games. The prosecution called him as a surprise witness to share what he knew from private meetings and industry events, as well as his own strange encounters with Diddy. It was his responsibility to paint a clearer picture of the man behind the mogul mask. And insiders claim he brought a list of 50's testimony. Began with a name that everyone already suspected had a strange connection to Diddy: Usher. He told the court that, "Although I'm not saying that Usher said anything to me, fans had been speculating for years that Usher had lived with Diddy at a young age. And what happened during that time raised questions that have never been answered. We all knew about Flavor Camp, as Puff called it, and when Usher was just 14. We used to wonder, what the hell is a teenage boy doing living with a man like Diddy?" He cited the 2016 Howard Stern interview. Prosecutors asked if he had any proof. Recordings of witness statements, to which 50 replied, "This industry doesn't work on paper trails. It's on what people whisper backstage, what we see when the camera's off." Usher, who was already an adult, awkwardly danced around the subject in the interview. He said some strange things, but he never elaborated. Told the court that the boy looked like he had something he wanted to say, but Puff got that power makes people quiet. He continued by discussing an event he attended where he saw Diddy and Usher interact. And years later, they still had that strange tension. "This ain't no hit list. This is a truth list," he said, pulling out a folded sheet from his inside jacket pocket. "This is who I know, who I heard, who I believe, because it isn't just about Diddy being freaky. It's about how he used his power to pull young stars in." The gallery gasped, and the judge told them to keep quiet. But this was only the beginning. After Usher, 50 changed to a rapper who had recently been caught on camera looking extremely uncomfortable. During a court appearance, Fabulous explained what he witnessed behind the scenes. "I was there for that Drink Champs episode, and I watched Fab shrink in his chair when Diddy started pressing him. He said that wasn't no joke. That was real fear." He then recalled a private industry event where Diddy reportedly cornered Fabulous and made another advance. "I remember Fab telling someone, 'Man, I just want to go home.' Diddy was not letting him puff all the time. 'Come on, I got a room upstairs, just chill.' Fab slipped out the back door." This was consistent with his Instagram story about leaving. A dodgy party at 7 a.m. while feigning to use the restroom. 50 told the jury that he personally warned younger rappers to avoid being alone with Diddy. I told him, don't accept gifts, don't go to his house, and don't ever agree to no party after. The party. That's when things get dark, but that was what he said next. He never wanted to be there, but he told the court that he was there under pressure, which is what Puff does. Prosecutors asked, are you willing to name everyone on that list? That had the courtroom buzzing. There were a lot of us artists, bodyguards, and assistants who all had stories, but Puff had lawyers' power and fear on his side. Which is why I'm here to say it plain with just 3 names mentioned so far. Everyone knew more was coming. Oh, this is just the warm-up, 50 remarked, glancing directly at Diddy. 50 Cent remarked. Because people still see Justin, like that little kid, as the courtroom leaned in and attention turned to one of the most unexpected names on his list, Justin Bieber. This one is going to upset some of you. Puff had him around when he was new to the game, and let me tell you that many of them didn't like the bowl cut. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. 50 recalled an infamous video clip from years ago. The mogul made it sound playful by saying, we're going to go full buck, full crazy. But under oath, he said, but industry insiders always knew what that really meant. Ain't nobody talking about mentoring when it's 2 a.m., 50 said. Oh, child is 15 years old, and I'm in Miami. Prosecutors asked 50 what he believed happened during that time. He didn't give graphic details, but made his point loud and clear. I'm not saying nothing happened. I saw with my own eyes, but I heard from people close to Justin. People in the camp who were scared to talk. That 48 hours, it wasn't music lessons. It wasn't songwriting. They said it was exposure to things no teenage boy should see. He went on to say Bieber later distanced himself from Diddy entirely, and when asked in an interview whether he'd let his own kid go to Flavor Camp, he laughed nervously and said, hell no. 50 told the court that wasn't a joke, that was him. Remembering, he explained that the dark side of fame, which he claimed Puff organized, is partially to blame for Bieber's subsequent public breakdowns and severe emotional trauma. He claimed that Puff discovers them young, promises them the world, and then manipulates them with gifts and silence, adding, and the silence is loud. No, not in public, 50 said when asked if Bieber had ever spoken out directly. However, he conveyed a lot through his silence, his avoidance, and the speed with which he left Puff after he had the opportunity. As the jury considered the ramifications, Diddy reportedly stared down at the table without a word. But the courtroom wasn't completed since 50 Cent was just reaching the section of the list that had people who were even more connected to the streets and the secrets that only he had the guts to share. The courtroom murmured as 50 Cent stopped and gave Diddy a direct look before continuing, saying this time, this isn't just hearsay. The room fell silent as he went on. I got it straight. From the man who saw it himself. I'm talking about my guy Gene Deal. Deal's longtime bodyguard had previously spoken in an interview, but now his story was being repeated under oath. 50 recounting Gene's claim about an odd shopping trip to an adult bookstore where Gene claimed Puff was present. They flew out for a show in North Carolina, and Gene, who was security, had to carry the bag while they bought all kinds of toys and stuff you can't even imagine. However, what happened next made the story unforgettable. Gene testified that Ja Rule and Puff entered a private suite. And a few minutes later, Ja Rule himself opened the door, stuck his head out, and told Gene, yo, you might not want to come in here. It's a little freaky in here tonight. Prosecutors leaned in as the courtroom strained, asking, what did that mean? They inquired about 50. When asked why Ja Rule never talked about the incident, 50 shrugged and said, that's what I've been saying for years. Nobody wanted to say anything, not until now, but I'm here now and I'm saying it. He didn't mince words. He didn't mean candles. and bubble baths. He meant whatever was happening in that room wasn't just two guys lounging. He made it clear that his goal was not to degrade others, but rather to reveal a pattern. He said that the Ja Rule is not about what two grown men do, but rather about how one wealthy man treats everyone in his vicinity. It is not about sexuality, but rather about coercion and people using their power to do what they want, when they want, to whoever they want. He claimed that the incident was only one of many that took place behind closed doors and were silenced by the NDA and fame. But the damage persisted. John never spoke, but he hasn't been the same since. Like many others I haven't even mentioned. Yet he blew up quickly, had one hit, and then Puff came around and the boy started changing all of a sudden. He said, same playbook. Next on the list was a newer face, Osiris 50, who told the courtroom that he had seen all the warning signs. With Osiris long before the public did. According to 50, Diddy enticed Osiris with promises of mentorship, opulent vacations, and a supposed vacation to Jamaica. But some believe it's just a then came the Instagram live meltdown, in which Osiris sobbed and ranted about feeling alone in the industry, implying that no one knows what really happens. 50 played a clip of the video for the court that boy was breaking down, and no one helped. He recalled the social media buzz when Osiris shared pictures from Jamaica at the same time Diddy was there. Fans posted receipts, the same hotel, and the same beaches that week, but Osiris tried to laugh it off, saying that he went with his girl. He connected the emotional fallout to Diddy's pattern. He finds young talent, love bombs them with attention-grabbing gifts, and then something changes. They start to fall apart, and Puff leaves clean. Prosecutors asked if Osiris ever made specific accusations, and 50 declined, saying that the signs were there. As the courtroom processed yet another name on the list, 50 concluded the segment with a chilling reminder of how many young black artists had a breakdown before you all saw the pattern. This isn't a coincidence. It's a system, and Puff is at the center. Let's talk about Usher, he said bluntly. This one has been in people's faces for years, but no one wanted to say anything. He began by narrating the now famous clip of Usher, discussing how, when he was 14, he lived with Diddy. He claimed that Puff had him in what they called flavor camp. But have you ever stopped to consider what kind of grown man would invite a teenage boy to live with him like that? He quoted Usher himself saying, "We used to wake up back in the days when he was like 10 and I was older. We used to fight over the frosted flakes." 50 stared out across the jury. Why did no one ask why these grown men were sleeping in the same house like that? The court then listened to a clip in which Diddy casually admitted in a live stream that me and Usher used to sleep together, followed by a clumsy pause and no homo. That moment was meant to be funny, but 50 didn't laugh. That wasn't a joke. That was a man slipping up. He went on to explain that the Usher situation always bothered people in the industry, with people whispering about it. 50 said, not because of orientation, but because Usher was a kid and we all knew Puff had power. If Puff wanted you around, you didn't say no. He also highlighted how Usher changed after that early exposure. And you might think it's a coincidence that he's always been silent about that aspect of his life. You might assume it's just trauma from the industry, but it's from what he's seen and what he was a part of. 50 also added that even now, Usher never really denies the rumors. Instead, he dances around them. However, if you ask him directly, he laughs, shrugs, and moves on, which isn't comfortable. That's scary. 50 concluded his testimony by saying something that stuck with everyone in the room. Sometimes it's not about what they say, but about what they never say. Then, unexpectedly, 50 told the court, "I saw it and I know what they saw." Then came the famous Kevin Hart live stream moment, when Diddy joked that he used to wake up with Usher and Kevin's face dropped. 50 said that thinking, "I hope this dude doesn't say too much." 50 claimed that both Kevin and Fab had been exposed to environments they didn't sign up for. "Puff always throws the wildest parties," he said, "but he doesn't let you bring your security. Why do you think? Isn't it?" He recounted stories of secret rooms, confiscated phones, NDAs, and wild party rituals involving substances, blindfolds, and things guests only whispered about later. Puff got people doing things they'd never do in the light. 50 said, and once you've been to one of those parties, he controls you. It's not always about what happened. Sometimes it's about what you were, he said, adding that Kevin Hart and Fabulous were just two examples of men who attempted to laugh off the situation, but whose faces told a different story. Have you ever seen a man laugh while dying inside at 50? Puff operates by pressuring you into doing what you were made to feel you owed. As 50 Cent concluded his testimony, the courtroom fell silent. Then he took a folded sheet of paper from his jacket and said, "This is the list the one people said didn't exist." He started to carefully read names: ushering YK Osiris, Justin Bieber, Ja Rule Bow Wow, Trey Songz, Kevin Hart, Fable, and more. Some of which I won't even mention because they're not ready yet, but they will be. The jury didn't need to be persuaded that the videos were public and now under oath. The context behind the nervous laughter was finally being revealed. Cultural icons, artists whose careers had been shaped by fame, power, and silence. And Puff didn't do this alone. He claimed to have a whole system of people who looked the other way, helped him cover it up, and cleaned up his mess. He explained that the silence wasn't just fear, but protection. They all signed NDAs, and some of them believed it. He also added that some of the names on the list weren't victims, but collaborators. People who helped him recruit and people who benefited from it. But I won't name them today. When asked why he chose to testify, 50 gave a straightforward response. Because I've seen too many people fall apart. Too many break down. I have children, and I will not allow this man to harm the future generation. He concluded by saying, "This trial is about the power this man used to break and ruin people. Not about a single video, Cassie, or even the money. And I'm not going to remain silent any longer." Instead of cheering or clapping, the courtroom sat in stunned silence because when a person like 50 Cent, who is revered and feared by almost everyone, sits down and names names, the game is officially changed. That day, the courtroom was empty. And not just Diddy looked shaken, the entire industry did. Wasn't just testifying. He'd opened Pandora's box. The headlines were right away. 50 Cent names in Diddy trial. Freakoff scandal expands. Is hip-hop's power structure crumbling? However, the real fallout began behind the scenes. As a number of high-profile people mentioned in 50's testimony were very worried about being subpoenaed next, they're lawyering up. Lawyers started drafting cease and desist letters, and celebrities who had previously posted vacation photos with Diddy suddenly went silent. Social media feeds were deleted, comments were disabled, and some pages were deleted overnight to become much larger. As rumors in Hollywood became more widespread, agents started to distance themselves from their clients, pause endorsement deals, and reevaluate their partnerships with artists associated with the bad boy, even Kevin Hart, who had previously dismissed Diddy's antics on live TV, canceled 2 appearances the following week, citing family time. Meanwhile, fans flooded online forums, unearthing old interviews, cryptic quotes, and long-forgotten posts. Every Drink Champs episode, Instagram Live. An awkward red carpet exchange was now being reanalyzed under a harsh new light. One artist wrote on Twitter, and it's just getting started. Most chilling of all was what came out about the NDAs. Multiple former bad boy artists privately confirmed to investigative reporters that they had signed contracts barring them from ever speaking negatively about Sean Combs, his family, his business partners, or even his events. One clause reportedly forbade the disclosure of unusual behavior witnessed at gatherings, but 50 didn't care. In an Instagram post the morning after his testimony, he wrote, "They tried to cancel me before. I dare them to try again, but you're not going to silence me while these individuals are suffering." With a straightforward statement, More names coming soon. He posted a picture of himself in front of the courthouse. Now that the hush has ended, the device that kept the untouchables safe might finally be breaking.